Hi, Thea. It's really nice to see you again,
Hi.
and I'm looking forward to our time together.
Yeah, likewise. Good to see you, Robert.
hmm So feel free to just kick us off, whichever direction you'd like to go.
Whew. Okay. Um, I am all over the place in my head
Mm,
about my marriage.
Okay.
Um, my husband and I have been married for 13 years. We were
Mm,
together 3 years prior to that. We don't have any kids, fur babies, but they're really mine. And I guess the easiest way I can explain this to you is we never had like the struggles I'm having now
mm,
are not life happened kind of struggles, and now we've been
mm,
in a rut and I'm having a hard time and blah blah blah. It never was
mm,
good. It
mhm,
never was healthy. Um so like we both came in, and I didn't understand this about myself.
mm,
We both came in with a lot of trauma
mm,
from childhood. And like looking back, I think for me, it was just like my impression was like, okay, well, you're not constantly shaming me and you're not raping me, so this is great. Like this is as good as it gets. Like this is amazing. Um, so yeah, for a long time, like I thought we had a fabulous relationship and a fabulous marriage because my bar was so ridiculously low.
mm,
And then I kind of got into like, I hate the word recovery because like people always think drug recovery or alcohol. That's not. But anyway, talking
mm,
to a counselor, you know what I'm talking. I
mhm,
got into like, I understood my life and my upbringing was not healthy. And I
mm,
wanted something different. I wanted to grow. I wanted to like feel
yeah.
and be like a whole person. Um,
You, yeah.
yeah, and then I became a Christian too, what while my husband and I were still dating. So then that kind of like became another factor in my life driving some of this, but I had no idea what it all meant. So anyway, yeah, I've been doing walking that road for quite a long time, and my husband has zero interest in that.
Mm,
He says he does, and
mhm,
I've like, we've done couples counseling, we've done all sorts of workshops, professional,
mhm,
weekend things, Christian weekend things, like retreats, and very little has improved over the years.
yeah.
And so basically, it's for me complete neglect.
Mm,
Um, like he's okay, he's very fun.
mm,
Like we get along, we don't fight. Well, he doesn't believe in fighting. We can't have a disagreement. He will just shut down. Like
mm,
any sort of uncomfortable emotion, he just pulls back. And so we can't talk about anything. Nothing is safe,
mm,
really. Like
mhm,
nothing is real. All of the major things that have transpired in my life since we've been married, I've dealt with myself. And
mm,
anyway, I guess where I'm at, that was a lot of background, and I probably didn't even scratch the surface very well. But like my faith is really important,
mhm,
and I don't take marriage lightly. Like I don't want to say I don't believe in divorce, but I guess in a way like that's not something I've ever wanted. But as the years go on, like it's more and more I contemplate it because
mm.
I see like there's a bar within my marriage for
Mm-hmm.
my growth. Like, because I've kind of like gone past that bar and then it's caused issues. So I find like I bring myself
Mm,
back down to a lower level just to like be able to exist. And like, I don't know how I'm conceptualizing it. Am I putting like too much of a
mm,
priority on the marriage? Am I not? Like, I just,
mm.
my thoughts about it are all over the place. And like, what does God really think? And how does he feel about me? And
Yeah.
like, is it just I need to kind of conceptualize everything differently? And maybe, because I don't want to leave, but at the same time, I'm like,
Mm,
but I enabling him as I stay? And like, I just,
mm.
all the questions, I'm all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
That certainly is a lot, and I'd love to try to summarize to just to build a connection with you. And if I'm hearing you correctly, you really value marriage. You have a really strong value for it, and you want it to be better. You mentioned a bar, like you had a lower bar when you first entered into it. Maybe you didn't know what it was going to be like, but you had certain expectations. It was like, well, at least it's not this, so it must be a lot better. But that has since changed in the last 13 years. You have grown more of an interest in like what it means to be married and what it means for you to be a spouse to your husband. And but you're feeling a little neglected. You feel neglected by from your husband, and you feel less optimistic of what that future marriage could look like. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like despair, honestly, a lot of the time
Despair.
when I think about it. Um, like marriage is supposed to be a
Mm,
partnership, you know?
mm,
Um, and like I feel like I do life by myself.
you feel like you do life by yourself.
Yeah,
Mm,
in all aspects.
mm,
Um, yeah. I mean, I know I've complained to girlfriends and stuff about he doesn't want to do chores or help like with
mm,
the basic, kind of
mhm,
normal marriage challenges that people
mm,
experience. Like it's beyond that. Like he has no friends.
mm,
So his entire social world kind of, I mean, he goes to work, talks to people there, but like that's it.
mm,
He goes to Bible study with men at church, but he doesn't have connections outside of that
mm,
hour and a half, and
mhm,
so social events we go to that they're my friends, they're people I know. And so like I just like sometimes it feels like he's just like a leech draining me in so many different ways.
mm,
And he doesn't know how to deal with his own emotions.
mm,
Like he's got significant traumas from
mhm,
childhood, that I didn't know about until a few years into our marriage. And he never even told anybody before me. But like that particular type of trauma, coupled with his just poor upbringing in his
mm,
family and all of that, like it's just like he is so shut down. And
mm,
so the only feeling he really knows is anger. Like his favorite word in the world is
mm,
frustrated. That's all I hear him
mm,
say. I'm frustrated about this, I'm frustrated about that, and like blah blah blah. And like when things don't go his way, he gets so upset. And it's just like he carries that everywhere. And so, but he looks to
mm.
me like to fill him up,
I
like
see.
to listen and to
Mm,
reflect to him. And he was
mhm,
never encouraged when he was younger and never
mm,
validated and never affirmed. And so he's like, he wants all that out of me, which I happily do, but it's just like, it's just giving all the time and
yeah.
never receiving. And he's gotten, I don't want to like totally beat him up because he really is a great guy. Like he's not
Mm,
an a-hole or anything, but I can't talk to him about real stuff. Like
right.
he used to puff up and get angry to shut me back down and like trying to control me that way. Like he has grown in that regard.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, he'll listen if I'm like upset with a girlfriend or whatever, or like something happened. I
Mhm.
can share that with him and he can handle that and be supportive and ask good questions and that sort of stuff. But it's like I can't say anything
Yeah.
about anything that has to do with us or
Mm,
even just his what it's like for me to relate to like a simple
right.
thing, like
Right.
I would appreciate it if you didn't throw your whatever on the floor, something like that. Like
Mm,
that just like sends him into a shame spiral. So I
mm,
feel like I can't even show up authentically because I can't be honest and we can't have conversations about the present or even about the future because everything becomes all about like how he feels or whatever or
yeah.
shuts down and it's just like I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like I
You're
fantasize about escaping all the time.
mm, yeah, you feel exhausted because you feel you've been carrying a lot of his emotional weight. You feel like you've been taking care of him, you've been responding to him, but you also feel responsible to not offend him or to not cause him to spiral. And all of these things and are kind of adding up to where you feel despair. You feel despair.
Yeah, because it's like for a long time I was able to say he doesn't understand. Like this is what he's
Hmm,
known, and like have a lot of compassion for everything he's been through. Like I get it. I get where it comes from.
right.
I try not to take things personally, but at the same time is like he is not ignorant anymore.
Hmm,
Like he is fully aware. And I've expressed to him flat out, like I get trying to you at a problem, you get triggered and whatever's going on inside, you
hmm,
shut down, your brain doesn't work. Like I'm not standing in front of you screaming in your face, like, answer me. Like I'm like,
mhm,
take time, we can, come back. He'll never come back. Like, so
mhm,
that's the thing, it's just like nothing. But like I
hmm,
guess I see it as these are choices. Like at this point he's
mhm,
choosing. And so also I separated from him um 3 years ago.
hmm,
And we were separate for like a year and a half.
mhm,
And when he popped back up unexpectedly, like he was showing me signs of like he's getting it, he wants to work.
hmm,
Like I started seeing all these behaviors I've never seen before. Like I was able to be very candid with him about
mhm,
some of my experiences that I knew would not feel good for him to hear.
mhm,
And he was able to listen and not like knee jerk response, like all the things. Like he went back
mhm,
to therapy for a while and stuff. And this went on for quite a while. And
hmm.
then we moved back in together, and it was like almost instantaneously it reverted back.
Wow.
And I kind of stuck my head in the sand after that because I
Hmm,
just felt, well, one, I felt manipulated, which
hmm,
was a very familiar feeling for me.
hmm,
Um, and I just like I don't know what to do.
mhm,
Like, and then I question, am I putting my marriage on too high of a pedestal?
hmm. So you feel manipulated, you don't know what to do, and so now you're doubting that, yeah, you're putting marriage too high on the pedestal. You doubt that what you expect or want out of a marriage isn't attainable.
at this point, I feel like it's not.
Mm,
Like, I have no signs that he really wants to
mhm,
put in any work. Like, I think back when I first met, like he told me one of his number one values is comfort. And I thought he meant like a
mm,
cozy blanket or like,
mm,
he loved hot laundry and rolling around in that. I was
mm,
like, oh, that's what
mm,
he means. But like, no, like,
mhm,
16 years later, like, no, he literally means like, I want to stay in my comfort
yeah,
bubble internally and externally.
right.
And I know there's
Mm,
tons of people that have less than fabulous marriages that
mm,
stay. And I'm like, I don't even know. Is that really what I want to strive for? Like, just grin
right.
and bear it, till the end. But I'm like, that's not being a reflection of, you know, Christ to the world just because we didn't get a divorce.
Mm.
Like, yeah, just like I get all warped up in my brain
Yeah,
about,
those are real conflicting things. Like those are real conflicting things. Like you have this experience that you're having that isn't good. It's not healthy, right? Like, and it's kind of pulling you down, and you're feeling despair. Like you're feeling worn out. You're feeling stretched out. Like you have those feelings. And then over here you have a value system that's telling you what what should be or what could be, and like a spirituality influence as well. So could you sit in your spirituality for a little bit? Could I understand a little bit of what that foundation is for you and what that means for you?
yeah. Um, I guess sometimes this is just like a general area struggle. Like,
Mm,
there's different ways you can look at it, or, different parts you can pull out of scripture about what God says and who he is. And like, look, I know if I get a divorce, I'm not like going to hell because
mhm,
like, I don't believe that, but I guess there's that part of me where I'm like, God can do anything. And I realize like
mhm,
you have to have willing participants when we're talking about people and stuff here. Like,
mhm,
but God can change hearts. God, you like, so for me to just say, well, I've waited long enough and like, I'm
mhm,
just gonna like, am I giving up on God in this?
mm. So you
And
wonder if you give up on God, that's the same thing as giving up on your marriage, or vice versa. Is that correct? You
yeah,
give up on
yeah,
marriage,
in a way,
you feel
yeah.
that. Mm,
Like, is there ever a right time? Like, how do you know? How, like,
mm,
so I have like that kind of part of it. And then I have this back and forth of like, well, I know God values marriage and the sanctity of marriage. Um, and like, I don't take saying vows lightly,
mhm,
but I also know God values me as an individual
mm,
and he values my husband as an individual. So I'm like, well,
mm,
for the sake of, because I said I would, like, we're
mhm,
not we're not living a marriage. Like,
mm,
this is not a marriage.
right.
So, like, am I holding on? Am I getting in God's way?
Mm,
Of working on both of
mhm,
us as individuals. Like, does he want me to live out my life living kind of a subpar existence
right.
because I'm waiting on him, or I'm like, I don't even know
Mm,
what I'm doing, but I do
mhm,
know that no matter how hard I try and I keep like these ups and downs. And so, like, I guess this is kind
mhm.
of why I came in today, is because I'm back now to that point of just being checked out, where like, I
Okay.
don't even want to try anymore with my husband. Like, I don't,
Mhm,
I'm here and I listen and I care, but I have a detachment. Like, it's like this
mhm,
sort of self-protective walls went back up,
right.
because why am I going to just like
Mm,
pour in and get nothing back, and that's always just going to be okay.
mhm,
And but yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know God's, I don't know. I guess there's maybe that
Mm,
part of me too is like, I feel like, no, God cares about, like, yeah, marriage is wonderful and it's meant to do something, but like, I don't think he cares more about an institution than he cares about people.
mm. Yeah, you feel checked out, and you feel checked out for obvious reasons. You've just been working so hard, and you're working so hard to maintain two value systems, and you just kind of said it just there, where it's like you have a value system where you believe in how God sees you individually, Thea, right? Like you have a value system of how God like appreciates you, loves you, puts a great value on you. You express how you believe that he has the same value for your husband, that he has great value for him and he cares for him and he loves him individually. And maybe what you're experiencing is that you know that like those two value systems are true, but you're not seeing that value system exist between you two, between you and your husband. And maybe you expect that like that's a value system that you want to see happen. But am I understanding that? Am I understanding that rightly for you?
I guess it's the value system of God seeing us as individuals versus
Mm,
us as like the marriage union
yes.
and what
Okay.
that really means.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important to know. So
And
like, yeah,
because that's kind of where I go back and forth. Like, well, how do I
right.
know what's right? Like, everyone's always, within the Christian realm, like, God hates
Yeah.
divorce. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, I get that. He didn't create marriage, so
Yeah.
we get into it and we're like, oh, this is hard. See ya. I want to divorce, but like, and
Mm-hmm.
those words in scripture meant something very specific at a specific
Mm-hmm.
point in time. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it's a hard and fast thing. And like, other people have expressed to me that I've shared like some of my story and stuff with, like, this is a form of abuse.
Mm,
Like, God doesn't love abuse, if that is an
right.
accurate assessment of my situation. Like, I have value as an
Mm-hmm.
individual, like, is
Mm-hmm.
maintaining a marriage certificate, because I don't really
Mm,
want to call it a marriage, is that place higher value over me as an individual. And I guess it's easy for me to question that because that's my background. I didn't have
right.
value.
Mm,
I think I've shared with you previously, I come
mm-hmm.
from narcissistic family where my entire worth was just based on what I could do for everybody else. And so, there's a lot of resentment probably towards my husband
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just reliving that
Mm,
very painful part of my life. And,
yeah.
so hence the
Mm,
despair, because I think, oh,
yeah.
well, death do us part. Well, shit, this is an awful existence.
Mm,
This is
yeah.
the only existence I've known, and I'm tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like struggle.
Yeah. It is a struggle. And I know I certainly don't have the advice for you, right? Like I don't have the advice for any of like talk about like what you should do or making a decision or should you get a divorce or not divorce, and I don't have the advice on that. But I think what we can affirm on is that whatever you've been doing currently isn't working, right? Like it's not producing good, like healthy marriage. You you have strong value in yourself, but like you're feeling that being worn down, being brought down to despair. You're feeling burnout, you're feeling stretched thin, you're feeling exhausted. I can just feel I could personally just feel that exhaustion from you. And but I think what's really important now is to ask ourselves like what is like the miracle ideal, right? Do you have an idea of what a practical goal could be for you? Or like if we were go to bed tonight you were to wake up and tomorrow's a different day, how would that day be different than today?
I know what you're asking. This is a hard question.
And if you don't
I,
feel ready to answer it, that's okay. But if you have an answer, that's okay too.
yeah, I guess I second guess just my own thoughts. Like,
Mm,
I don't expect to have a perfect marriage. Like, I know if my husband was willing to deal at least a little bit, his stuff is very heavy
mm-hmm,
and is a very, very long road. And chances are I will not have this like dream relationship. Right. But anyway, I'm getting off track because that's not what you're asking, because
mm,
not a that's not the type of miracle, because I have no control over that.
mm-hmm,
The only thing I have control over is how I respond to the situation. I guess for me, it would be that regardless of what's going on with him, that I am no longer bringing myself down just to survive.
mm,
That regardless of what I get or I don't get or have to deal with in terms of my husband's behaviors and stuff,
mm-hmm,
that it doesn't impact me
mm,
in such a right way. Because it's even at the point, like, for years, I've felt a struggle in my relationship with God.
mm,
Like, that's not something that I want it where I want it to be.
mm-hmm,
And I know that's not God, that's like me. And I don't know if that's like anger and resentment towards
mm,
him too, kind of
mm,
blocking it. But it started to get a little bit better when I was separated from my husband. Then we get back together again, and then it just like fell
mm-hmm,
apart. So like I'm tying
mm,
my existence and how well I can do in the world and in
mm-hmm,
relationship with others, like to the state of my marriage.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's really profound insight. Yeah, it's really profound insight. I
Yeah.
think you helped identify a few strengths. I picked up on a few strengths for you. And some of those are that you really value, you said this a few times, like you value doing the right thing, right? It's like, so you're able to, you have all these like emotions, right? That you're feeling weighed down, you're feeling burdened, you're feeling overwhelmed. Even like with your describing your relationship with God, sometimes like, you feel distant from him, you don't feel super connected, but then deep down, it's almost like this memory that you're pulling up where you're just kind of saying like, but whatever I'm feeling now is real, but I need to focus on the right thing, right? And if I am hearing you correctly, you've been trying to do the right thing for a long time with your husband. And maybe all we need to do is just kind of tweak some things. Maybe all we need to do is address some things and have different approaches to uh, to help problem solve, to help create solutions for you in your relationship. But what we do know is that whatever is happening now isn't working. It's not working for you. It's not working for your husband. But I do think that you have the ability, you have the capacity to be able to make change happen and to help create some things to happen, even if you don't see it right now, because of that value that you have of doing the right thing. Would
Yeah, I
you
guess
what do you think?
I never thought of that as a strength. I was kind of thought it was just like rigidity and more of a stumbling block because I get so
Mm,
caught up and I need to know what's right, and I'll spin
mm,
around forever
mm,
until I know. And sometimes I never do. Because sometimes maybe there isn't a right
mm,
or a right versus wrong.
mm. So what you mentioned, like kind of like spinning around. Like what does make you, what does create a foundation for you where maybe you're not spinning as much?
I had like my one girlfriend from Maryland. She used to say to me like, "Oh, you's taking laps around the sun again."
Hmm,
Like,
hmm,
meaning she used to tease me like I would analyze every possibility 6 ways from Sunday
hmm,
and then repeat that process 3 times before coming to a
hmm,
conclusion. Um, I don't know. I guess I never really put this together. I had a lot of gaslighting going on, not just from my mother, but my oldest brother too. So
hmm,
I don't know if I ever really trust myself or
hmm,
my thoughts. Like I just don't feel grounded or
hmm,
confident. I always just doubt
hmm,
because every time when I was younger and I think I would know something, or like someone bigger and wiser would come along and tell me I was wrong. So
hmm,
I just have a really hard time ever feeling confident in anything.
hmm. Not
Like,
feeling confident.
yeah, like there's been a handful of times since I became a Christian that I felt like God, like, not the audible voice, but other like the impressions or whatever, like the Holy
Hmm,
Spirit is like God telling me something. And so in those instances, like people are like, how did you do that? Or why did you do like that was crazy? And I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't have to think about it. Like I knew that I knew that I knew that
hmm,
God was telling me this is the path for you. Like
hmm,
either you're gonna get on or you're not. And I'm all like, yes, sir. Like I am
hmm,
there because overall I do trust him and I know he has
hmm,
my best interest. So if I'm like certain God's talking to me, I'm like,
hmm, hmm.
you betcha I'm gonna follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's only happened like in very few number of
Hmm,
times.
yeah.
Everything else has all been like
Hmm. Wow, shortness of breath.
like it's
Wow.
just and I think for me it's just that I never feel confident
Hmm,
in making decisions or proceeding like with anything.
hmm,
When they're smaller, insignificant things, it's kind of fine. Although I will agonize over what. Okay, it's been a month and a half. I said I'm gonna buy a plant
hmm,
to put outside
hmm,
of our apartment complex. It's not even like our house. This plant is this is a community plant. I said I'm gonna plant something there because the hole is driving me crazy. I still have not settled on a plant.
hmm,
Like because I'm saying, I'm going, oh, well, what about the color? Like I just over analyzing
hmm,
everything, the simplest things. This decision means nothing in my life, yet I still haven't
hmm.
made it. Like, so yeah,
You
I
wanna,
guess
do you wanna
the next
focus on
step,
that? Yeah, do you wanna focus on that a little bit? Do you wanna focus on
picking a plant. Yeah.
picking a plant? That's
I use
advice. I'm
I
not giving
use
advice on a
I
plan.
use humor when I'm uncomfortable.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I accept it. Um, I think you mentioned like, not confident, like lack of confidence. Do you wanna go back to that feeling? Do you wanna stay there for a little bit? And would you like to tell me a little bit more about how you feel with that?
No, that's like a feeling. I don't like those. I'm sorry. I'm invested in the process. You want me to feel
Only
confident?
only if you genuinely want to. And I think like that'd be a good goal to have, is not, maybe not for right now, but something kind of like we save for a later time, is to invest in you, and invest in you and your time here. Those would be my goal, that you could feel safe here in this relationship. You can feel grounded. You can feel like you have a foundation, and that through that you can help through the rest of your life. And that's my intention. That's my goal, and that's what I would ask of you as we move forward in future sessions, is that we invest in this grounding of Thea. We invest in that, and who she is, and her value, and what's necessary for you to grow.
Uh, You said you said the word investment, and then I heard my name. I don't know if you said them right after each other, but anyway,
But
it made me think about like earlier. I was just saying like I know God cares about me as an individual, and I know He cares about my husband. Like I had all that right,
mm,
but now you say investment in Thea, and I feel like this twinge. Like oh, but why? Like
mm, does that unsettle?
that. Yeah, uh, that's like a disconnect.
Okay.
It's good for everybody else, but it's not good for me. Like
Mm,
kind of a deal.
mm,
Like, but
that's
why am I
okay.
here? Isn't that the choice I'm making? I want to invest in myself and I want to.
Hmm. I mean, even that is an action in itself, right? In a moment of being checked out, a moment of being feeling really low, a moment of being burdened, as you said over the session, like, you've tried so many different things. You've tried conferences, you've tried sessions, you've tried retreats, you've tried so much stuff, but like kind of nothing is sticking. And so even this feels like a, like a similar attempt, right? Is that right? Would I be wrong to assume that, you want to do the right thing, but what?
I guess kind of boils down to I want to do the. I'm like picking up on my own mental inconsistencies. It's like I want to do the right thing,
Mm,
but the motivator is when it involves other people because I know the
mm,
right thing is that I matter
mm,
and it's not selfish to like strive for things that are healthy and
mhm,
focus on like growing in my own. And I have some, but maybe I don't feel worthy
mm,
or something because then it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh well, doing the right thing isn't a motivator. It's like shut down.
mm. Right, right. Well, I think in a way too, because we're kind of near the end of our session, unfortunately, and I really would love to stay and to continue more with you. But I wanted to just encourage you to this, like, as we plan for future work, as we plan for future sessions, that um, my role for you is to come alongside you. I want to be a supporter for you, and I want to sit along beside I want to help plan and talk and share your life with you in a setting that's going to help create a place of safety, that's going to create um, foundation setting for you. That is going to be for you, Thea, right? And we are going to talk about all the outside things that affect all of us, right? But it's going to be for you, and it's going to be purposed in that way. And so, if you'd be willing, I would love to plan future time with you and to explore some of that with you.
I am willing, but I'm not gonna lie, like I felt a little twinge in my back as I heard you say that, like
Mm,
and I'm all like, do want that, but it's like
mm,
really uncomfortable.
yeah.
I think it's just such a foreign thing. I
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm like afraid I'm gonna get swallowed up in it or something. But
Mm,
I do know that's what I need, and I want to grow.
yeah.
So I'm willing.
Well, we can just keep taking little steps, and that's okay. And like even just saying, I'm willing to try, like I'm willing to go, and we will just follow that thread as far as we need to, and we'll be here and we'll be doing it together.
I
Okay.
like that. Thanks, Robert.
Okay. Yeah. You bet, Thea. Thanks for coming in today.
Feedback time. I'm trying not to say I hate this part because I'm never really it. I've had this conversation with numerous
And
classmates. It's
please be
hard.
honest too.
Yeah, it's hard to stay present as the client,
Yeah.
but like, the prompts on the assignment is asking kind of like very specific questions, like give
Hmm.
examples of responses. I I have a horrible memory. Sorry, the other Hershey is
Hmm.
coming near.
Oh, that's right. You have a cat named Hershey.
Yeah.
That's, uh,
He likes to coo. I heard a little cooing off to the side.
um, is it appropriate if I ask prompting feedback?
Yeah.
So yeah, like, did you, how was my summarizations and like my reflection of feeling moments in those times?
So at first I started like for myself because I was like, oh shoot, I am like talking way too much. I'm not giving him a chance to
Mm,
get in there. Um, so I tried to like slow it down and not go so much.
mm-hmm,
Um, and when I did that, I definitely like I felt your presence the whole time, like
mm-hmm,
your eye contact and minimal encouragers, all that stuff. Like, and I knew you were listening and tracking with me.
mm-hmm,
I can't remember the specific. There was a few instances where you like got it perfect. And
mm-hmm,
then like as I listened and then I was able to, take that and kind of move forward. There was maybe one or two that
mm-hmm,
weren't quite so there.
mm-hmm,
Um, but I also know like I can't remember what they called it. Like when someone is abstract, kind of the abstract thinker,
mm-hmm.
or
Abstract concrete. Yeah.
yeah, I'm I can like tend to be a sort of mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a woman brain, so I should have spoke waffles, not
Oh
spaghetti.
no, you went there. I was thinking that, and I didn't want to say it out loud.
Yes, yes.
You have been to a marriage conference. Yeah.
Oh, we used to
Uh,
be marriage mentors,
yeah.
like co-leading the ministry. It's just the layers, just yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I could see me personally, because I have
Hmm.
that understanding of male, female, stereotypical differences. Like I could easily see why you pieced together what you did.
Mm,
So for me personally, I didn't feel like it caused a disconnect.
hmm.
For someone else, maybe potentially a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, I'm so used, like, I don't like being the spotlight, and the fact that you can listen and care enough to like, so like for me that's kind of meaningful.
Hmm.
Um, that's not very helpful for you, because this is not about me, this is about you. Um, hmm, I'm looking at the prompts. There was a few times where I think, what is it called? Self self focus?
Mm.
The skill to
Focus on the individual.
not.
What are you thinking?
I think it was on the skills to avoid. I really only am
Oh.
able to bring this up because I've been working on a
Hmm.
verbatim, and I've done it of like saying the I
Oh.
stuff,
Yeah.
like instead of coming from a
Mm.
reflective place, like you were putting eyes on there.
Yep.
Like,
I
but
can
because
feel it. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
because we're both in the program, and I know, oh, we shouldn't be doing that, like
Yeah.
trying not to analyze you. So, but because I had a cognitive recognition of like,
Yeah.
oh no, like I knew what you were intending to do, but the way it was coming out,
Gotcha.
it felt like a little bit of a break.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know how much of that was just because I know, but
Well, yeah. No, it's no, it's like those
um,
are skills to avoid. Yeah. I think I was attempting like immediacy. I think I was like attempting like the feedback part.
mhm,
Um, whereas like, I'm like giving a little bit of like insight, but yeah, like I could absolutely see how that would break connection though too, for sure.
mhm.
Probably, yeah, because I was on a path of like just reflecting maybe so much. It kind of felt out of place. Is that what you were feeling?
Um, no, not necessarily. I think
Oh, okay.
I started hearing you keep saying so I was like,
Yeah,
oh, this is where you,
yeah,
instead of like just saying something, even though it might have been the same skill in a reflective way, I got hung up on hearing the I. So I was like,
yeah.
oh, this is what they say don't do, because then it shifts the focus from the
Mhm,
client onto the counselor.
mhm. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and I totally botched that in my own recordings. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
um,
no, it's yeah, duly noted for sure.
um, I, okay, so, and I told you this before we started the recording, like with these sessions getting longer, it's hard because I don't have kids. I'm not
Mm,
working,
mhm,
like I don't have a lot in my life to pull from per se. Like I don't think you want
mm.
to have me try and stretch out. The cats somehow got giardia and now are on medication, because that's about as good as it's get right now. For an hour. So like, I mean, this is a big part of my life and ongoing part.
Yeah.
So, and I've been hesitant to use it.
Mm,
I've needed to pull it out for these last two just because of the length of the sessions, but I'm aware I can easily detach from my emotions,
mm,
but it is an emotionally charged topic. And so
mhm,
I didn't want to, I wanted to give you content to practice skills, but I didn't want to take this beyond words and
Right. Right.
tended to go. So
Yeah.
I think you did and I know like I'm in trauma therapy, and so I kind of know some of my own limitations as well. And I think you did a phenomenal job because like there are so many things you did say in the moment, and I was all like, well,
Mm,
I never even like thought of that or saw it that way. But times where I was like, uh-oh, this could lead down a
mm,
potentially dangerous road, and I put up a block on it,
mhm.
I was like, oh, all my good intentions with the assignment, and I was like,
Yeah.
I might be setting Robert up here. But I think you handled those very well.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Like in
Uh,
how I was resistant to stuff, or how like
uh,
I sensed, I don't know if you articulated it, probably did, but that you knew that I was having a hard time.
mhm.
And you were very gentle and delicate in the way you handled or readjusted. And
Okay.
so for someone like me,
Yeah.
that makes you very safe.
Okay.
Like,
Good.
someone with some significant traumas in there. You're not like, well, no, but let's try that. Like, you weren't forcing anything. And when I was all like, no, and I
Mhm.
don't really know, and then you just kind of were like, okay, we're just gonna keep
We'll
keep
dance
this
over
moving
here.
along. So I just wanted to say, kudos for that, because that's not
Okay.
really,
Thanks.
I mean, that's real. That's how
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
will go with a client. But I can see for the purpose of these exercises that could catch somebody off guard.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that was like my thought process too, was I was like, because it's uh, um yeah, I don't want to talk too much during this time, but like, yeah, as doing role plays, like we're saturated in like the conversations, right? It's like, let's go to the feelings box, right? And like, let's go there. And to have someone, which it was really helpful because it sharpened me and really tested me, as it was testing you, like just getting to those moments where it's like, oh, I don't want to go there. Feelings, no. And like, okay, well, let's go over here. Because that is a very, especially as a session is nearing an end, like, it's a very real thing. And 45 minutes for a counselor is really long, but it's also really long for a client. And so it's like someone could easily just be fatigued and be like, you know what, I'm tired. We've talked enough. Like, I'm done type thing. But
Yeah, I don't know how you
yeah,
felt, but like for me, I was like, well, nearing the end. What? No, we just got started.
I know. And I was watching the clock and I don't have a timer set up. So I was recalling like the time of when we started. And I wonder if I'm like a minute too soon. Like, I wonder I could be a few minutes short, but my
For
client wasn't being my client wasn't being responsive anymore. So
Well, yeah,
yeah.
I gotta shut it down. Let me just see. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have anything else specific that would be helpful for you in terms of feedback, but I felt very safe with you. I felt
Okay.
like you were very present, even if you weren't always like 100% getting it.
Hmm.
And the way you adjusted and like let me lead and honed in on some of the really important things, like I think you did overall an excellent job.
Oh, thank you. It was a real honor. So great. This concludes our recording. Thank you, Thea.
Yeah, no problem.